Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you're at, because I just found out, and the queens are going to love to hear this. This is like hot off the press. We are global. Yes, I found out there's some people watching us in Africa. Some people, I say Canada. I love my Canada queens. And somebody told me that in China. I was like, really? What time is it there? And you're watching us. I mean, that's a privilege. It's like, wow, an honor. So I humble myself. I know the queens are excited. I always say, just to get yourself out there so people can understand who you are and your wonderful gifts that you have. And this is what this show is about. Every first Thursday of the month, we have right here the Diamond Perspective Show with the queens. And I call them the queens because I look at them all as royalty. I can't do it alone. Never could. Even if I thought I could do it alone, that's bad on me. Bad Barbara. That's why I tell people collaboration is essential. Not just the key, but it's essential. And with these wonderful queens that come with me every month, I humble myself to them because they have so much knowledge and expertise. And I want you to hear it. That's why we have them every month. So tonight we're having a wonderful topic. I love this topic. It's going to be on leadership and really developing teams. But as you know and I know, especially when the queens start talking, we can start going into different places when it comes to leadership. You might come back with, okay, what's the characteristics of leaders? What's this and that? So we might just jump in a whole different type of topics, but it's all going to stay within leadership. Being in business, and I want to put this out here to everybody, and in your personal life. So I don't want you thinking we're just always just covering business. We have to cover both. There's a balance there. So with that, let's start the Diamond Perspective Show with these queens. Hey, there they are. Oh, and I see some queens I haven't seen in a while too. Oh my God, look at this, look at this. Can everybody hear me? I just want to make sure, let me do my little tech real quick. Ronnie's there, America Superman, Karen, Shelly, Letitia. Oh my God, Letitia's there. Can you hear me? It looks like she's frozen. Maybe she's like, oh my God, this is wonderful. And I'm going to, hopefully I say this right because I've been practicing for 2 months. Shay Jaze. Am I close? Queen?
Close.
Yeza. Okay. I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it. I'm telling everybody, I say everything. Hey, I tell people where I'm vulnerable and everything. I told this queen, I said, please record your name so I can practice it because I want to make sure I have it right. I'm not going to let that be a stumbling block for me to say, I can't get it. Let's do a nickname. No, we're doing your name. Your name is important. So thank you, Queen, for teaching me. That's what I'm going to say, teaching me. So before we even start, I want to make sure that each person gets a chance to introduce themselves. Tell like a 30 seconds on what you do, what's your gifts, what do you do for others in your life? Because one thing about this show is not just about giving out the tips, but I want each queen in their separate, business, what they're doing is so you can know what they do because you never know. You might need to reach out to them. So we're going to, let me see, I want to put you in the middle here so they can see your face and see you real clearly. So we're going to start with, I'll go bottom top. I'll start with Queen Shelly and go up.
Awesome. My name is Shelly Piaggio, and I help liberate people from financial anxiety. I would love for everybody to be able to live their life on their terms for a change because so many people are getting beat up by inflation. I've got some incredible tools to help with that, including a fantastic prepaid debit card that will let you double your buying power. And it's more than I can explain in 30 seconds. So if you're interested, reach out. Thanks,
as the queen said, reach out. And you're going to get her information towards the end. So there's no excuse. Okay. Our next queen, America's Supermom.
Hey, Barbara, thanks so much for having me. It's a blessing to be on this panel. I am Lachelle, also known as America's Supermom, mother of 15 children, and I'm a TV producer. I help you to monetize your message and create a global impact in the world through television. I'm glad to be here.
America's Supermom. I'm gonna have to make a song. You know you need a song, lady. When you walk out in the room, they's gonna have to be singing. Our next queen, Queen Karen.
Hey, I'm Karen Stoltz, and I'm the most extraordinary coach for creating awesome life success. Now, I'm not saying that egotistically. I am just telling you that is what I strive to do, help entrepreneurial leaders achieve their amazing awesomeness in their personal and professional life. And I'm freezing.
You're freezing. Uh-oh. I'm hot. You're freezing. Something's not right here. Maybe I got the lights on. I don't know what it is with me. But she is awesome. I know she said she didn't want to be egotistic, but yes, Karen is very awesome. So now our next queen. Yay, there she is.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Chie Zanya Huye, originally from Zimbabwe, but have been blessed to be a global nomad, but currently living here in the US. What I exist to do is to help people tap into their superpowers, catalyze their zones of genius, release their limiting beliefs, and thrive. And that's my intention in my daily interactions, personally and professionally. And I'll hand it back to you, Ms. Queen Barbara.
Beautiful queen. Now, I just met this queen just maybe a month ago, maybe. And I feel like I've been knowing her for like years. I mean, most of these queens, some of them I know just real recently. And I feel like they're family to me. So thank you, lady, for coming and showing up and just really believing in the panel. And I know you're going to give some good tips. So our next, Miss Ronnie. Yes, she's back in the house. Come on, queen.
Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you, Barbara, for allowing me to share your stage this evening. I am Ronnie Cyrus Jackson, and I am a mental well-being advocate. I help to encourage hope. I like to model authenticity, and I like to curate spaces for transformation to happen. I am the founder and CEO of Authentic Transformations, and it is my joy to walk alongside those who are healing, who are on their healing path. I like to walk alongside them in support and also to be their cheerleader. I do that in the capacity of coaching. I'm a best-selling author, and I am also a speaker. So glad to be here.
Oh my gosh, she's like triple threat queen. I'm loving it. So, I got to give my queen. I haven't seen this queen in a while. I just have to just do a hand clap for her. She's been gone for a while, but she's back. Uh-oh, you're on mute, lady. No, don't be on mute. I got to hear your voice. It's saying it on, because on my end, I got you. I don't have you on mute here. Do you have it turned down? Sometimes I forget that too. Sometimes I turn it down. I'm like, uh-oh. Still? Oh, no. Okay, I'm going to see if you can work on it, and we'll be back, okay? But you got to meet Letitia. She's amazing. She hasn't been on for a while, and I know she's had a lot of personal things go on, but she's still rocking and rolling her business. So I have to commend her, because sometimes, we let the low valleys get to us, but she never does that. She always are on point. So with that said, now that I show some love to all my queens, let's get into the topic. Now, everybody has a different title a different meaning when it comes to quote unquote, I'm gonna put quotes, leadership, right? And I want us to, before we talk about that and kind of like team building, team development, collaborate, anything you want to say, I want each queen to kind of give their take on leadership. And I want you to take it on the side of business and personal, because like I said earlier, we want to make sure we're doing both sides of it. And I want to see your take on it, because I hear a lot of different things when it comes to leadership. So I'm going to go right smack in the middle here and put Shelly in the middle.
All right. I love the way John Maxwell looks at it. He says leadership is influence, and that applies in both business and personal. So I look at leadership as, am I having an influence on the people around me? Am I having the impact that I want? And look around and see who's following me. And the other thing about leadership that is really key is leadership starts with self leadership. So I have to lead myself before I can lead anyone else.
I love that. You have to start with yourself. Okay, I'm going to put Miss Ronnie now.
Yeah, I think I am in agreement with Shelley, but when I think about leadership, I really think about definitely starting with self first, and then once, if you can lead yourself well, then you can lead others well. I think a leadership on both sides. You can lead people towards goodness and you can lead people into fear. And so I think a good leader understands their influence, and I also believe that a good leader knows how to recognize when they need help, and then they ask and they continuously develop themselves towards the goodness side of leading others well as well as themselves.
Oh, I like how you said that, Queen Ronnie, about knowing when to ask the questions. Just because you're a leader, we don't know everything. And it's good when you can open yourself and say, you know what, I really don't understand it. Let me ask a person that knows. So to me, that shows even to me better leadership, because you're being vulnerable, saying, you know, I don't know. Let's figure it out together. So I love it. Love it. Okay, America Superma.
I love what both of them said. I think, excuse me, I'm got my family around, so sometimes there's a little background noise, people coming in and out in the evening. But I would say that you have to have a lot of courage to be a leader. A lot of times we don't know what to do when it comes to, I think about myself as a parent. I've experienced so many different things with my children, the girls, the boys, everybody's not the same. And so just having the courage to admit what you don't know and then always being open to learn. I think one of the best traits that we can have as a leader is to model for others when we don't know something, how we navigate through that. I think that's a good sign of a leader. So I think I'll stop there because they've said a lot, and there's so many things. I'm sure we could have a whole conversation around just leadership.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay, Queen. Thank you so much for sharing, lady. And let me see if I can get Letitia back. Can you hear it? Can you? Okay, now you're. Let's see. Oh, no, you're still on mute. What is the technology? No, you're not doing this tonight. Put it out there. Don't like that. Okay, I'll get back. I'm going to still let you work on it. Let's go to who did. Okay, I got to get my other queen. There you go.
Hello. I would like to share just two short anecdotes, if you don't mind, that actually touch on the aspects that have already been shared about leadership. I led my first army of furious toddlers when I was 2.5 years old. This is in 1980 when Zimbabwe just got an independence. My sister and I were two of the 5 Black kids who went to a predominantly white nursery school. And in the afternoons, 2 boys from an elementary school would climb over the wall and beat up all the Black kids. So when we went home crying to my mother, she said, well, fight back. So when we went back to school, we practiced on our friends, convinced them that, you know what, we have the right to be treated as human beings. So when those boys came over the wall, we beat them. Well, yeah, we gave them a good hiding, and to put it euphemistically. And so that was the first time I actually led a multicultural team, because the majority of the team was white. There were a few Indians and Blacks. From that, what I learned also was the power of developing relationships, because I became the socialite. I was invited to birthday parties pretty much every other week. And then I even developed, I know in our woke language, allies, I had one with his boy called William, when we were 4 years old, refused to have a birthday party unless I was allowed to come, because his parents were refusing to let any of the Black kids come. So again, when talking about influence and values, not only being able to learn that at such a young age, but also seeing the power that children can have to even change the minds of their own parents. And then even in the adult setting, I think it was Sister Rochelle, sorry, the writing's very small, but you mentioned about leading yourself first. So I know for myself, intentionally, when I wake up every morning, it's always with gratitude. And then I even bless every single interaction that I'll have throughout the day. Because I believe by getting right with myself, whatever I deal with in the outside world will take care of itself. And as we know, when mama's happy, everybody's happy. I know that's a term in the US. And so that's the way I carry myself, so that that's the kind of energy I bring to every room. And of course, it affects every person around me. And we usually have better shifts, better working experiences. So I'll hand it back to you, Queen Barbara.
Mm, mm, mm. Wonderful gold nuggets. Okay, everybody, when you're listening, I hope you got a pencil and a piece of, well, a pen and a piece of paper. I don't know if you even typing, you need to put these these golden nuggets down. I want to share. Okay, I want to check with my queen first. How we're doing with no sound still on mute, lady? Still okay, because you are muted now. Let me see if it's on my end. Okay, it's still doing it. Okay. Okay, well, we'll work on it. That's okay. That's okay. Come, please. We'll work on it. You'll come back next time. Okay. Appreciate you. Okay. Now, I want to share, before we get into more leadership stuff, I want to share this particular quote. See, I love quotes. Quotes, and I love to expound on them. So I want to share my screen real quick. And with the wonderful tech gods out there, I hope that it works. Yes. There we go. So I love this quote by John Quincy Adams. He says, if your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. So I want to read that again, because sometimes you got to read it twice, let it sink in, right? If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. So to be the key, well, there's a lot of key little words in here, but the key word starts with, if your action inspire. So that's really, to me, that's important, because a lot of you did say that we have to be examples first, right? I heard that a lot from all the queens before you even become to the point of trying to lead or guide or empower, whatever word you want to use, to be that leader. So let's get a little bit into that, about how an effective leader, how do you balance between like fostering, getting the team together, talking to people. It could be a project you're working on, not just in business, like I said, but maybe something in personal. So I want to get your take on that. Who wants to start the role on that part? Not all you say at one time. Let's get Karen. Okay, Miss Karen.
The thing that a good leader recognizes is just like Shelley was and the other ladies were saying. You have to be able to lead, yes, but you also have to be able to follow. We are all leaders sometimes. We are all followers sometimes. But a good leader, I love that quote, Queen Barbara. I love it, because it is about inspiring. A good leader will inspire others to be better, to do more, to have the confidence and do a great job. It is a matter of being able to communicate well. How do you communicate with your employees, with your families, with your friends, however you communicate? That is a major part of being a good leader. When you are inspiring others to do wonderful things, to greater health, to greater prosperity, to relieving anxiety and stress, whatever it may be, better income, whatever it may be. When you are inspiring others to see that the possibilities are endless, you are being a good leader.
Mm-hmm. I like that. I like that a lot. Anybody want to add on to Queen Karen? Did I see a hand? Did I miss a hand?
I will. Again, I'm trying to minimize this background noise, but when I think about inspiring people, I think it's the whole concept of, we have a highlight reel that we see people on, which makes us want to follow people because of some of the great things that we may witness that they're doing. And I learned really early on. I had someone share with me that when you do something really well, people put you on a pedestal. But the key is that you don't have to stay there. So I think when you're willing to be vulnerable and tell the truth about issues that are happening behind the highlight reel, then people begin to relate to you and feel like it eliminates their excuses, because they realize that, wow, if you went through all that and you still are doing what you're doing, then I don't have any excuses. And it causes them to take action.
Yeah, Queen, because every time I see you, what you're doing, I have no excuse. Go ahead, Shelley.
Well, I wanted to piggyback on the talk about inspiring. And this is so counter to how my brain works. But one of the keys is to focus on the destination. We're going to the promised land. This is going to be so flippin' awesome. And so you're focused on the end result, the outcome, this good thing that's coming, rather than the how-to. And oh, by the way, we're going to have to climb these mountains. We're going to have to go through these valleys. We're going to have to trudge through the mud. Like if you focus on the how, people are going to turn out. What inspires people is that final destination. And Martin Luther King Day was just, a few weeks ago, we were talking to my grandkids about it. And that speech, I have a dream. Like, I never get tired of that. He focused on the dream, the end result, and I'm like, you live that. You live like what he was just imagining. Because they go to a school where every color of kids is represented, and all their friends are, we're the see-through transparent ones, and it's just like there was a time, and oh my gosh, and I hope I say your name right, Cheyetza. Wow, like I'm sitting here going, at 2.5 years old, I was probably sucking my thumb. Here you are, like leading a revolt and like getting people to stand up for themselves and bringing equality to your environment. So it's the focus on that end result, not on all the stuff you have to go through to get there.
I love that, Shelley. So, you know what? You just so bubbly. I love when you talk. You make me excited. But I just wanted to add something to what you said. First of all, I have to make sure I do this. This is Black History Month. So we're in the month of April. So, we want to, basically represent that. Please honor that. I always tell people, do your research, look at the history, look at the, people in the genre of, Black Americans that have done certain things, leadership. We have a lot of hidden figures that people do not know about. So I always just tell people, just a suggestion, just to go and just keep, research and really learn, because knowledge is power. So with that, when you said, you have a dream, and I see you was getting all excited. And every time I hear that too, it's like, it's like heading for the moon. Like, yeah, and I was having a conversation. This is something I hope some of you can touch on. I was having a conversation with a coworker, as a matter of fact, and they were like, oh my God, it was Martin Luther King Day, like you said. And they were like, wow, it was amazing what he did. And he lived his life through his whole dream. And, he didn't let nobody stop him. And he was like, and he wasn't trying to be, like beating up people, non-violent. I said, yeah. I said, well, what's going on though today though? And she said, what do you mean by that? I said, I'm looking for those leaders today. I mean, we keep going back, but where are they now? This is just me. I don't see that many. And the ones that are trying to be, they stop at a certain point. It's like, I'll go here. But then if something happens, I better back a little bit. That looks like I might get hurt or something. I better not do that. So I want to get your take on that about, really when you're a leader, genuine leadership, how far will you go? Are you believing in that truth? So anybody want to hit a little bit on that?
I'll speak to that a little bit. The fact is that leaders, like I said, have to be followers as well. And they also have to recognize that they can't do it alone. And I'm so happy that we're talking about Martin Luther King, because that is so, he was so powerful. I Have a Dream, but he spoke so many other things. He gave such inspiration to people that they wanted to support him. They wanted to help him spread that word, make that difference. And I expect that sometimes he might have gotten a little disillusioned, a little sad, a little down, but he had the other people he had already inspired to come back and inspire him. Sometimes you're the follower, sometimes you're the leader.
Ooh, that's good.
And that really does make a huge difference. And the way he spoke, it comes into the again into the conversation. How do you have this conversation with people so that they recognize you are not judging them, you are having a conversation, you are learning from them, and maybe changing their perspective along the way, covertly with the conversation. That's also part of leadership, I think. A good leader can change that perspective. And when you change your perspective, you change your truth. And when you change your truth, you can change your life.
Ooh, that's a mic drop. Ooh, Ronnie?
I would love to lean into the previous question just for a moment, and then I'd love to answer the current question on the table. But when I think about the previous question, as far as what is it that a leader, or how does a leader lead? And I'm paraphrasing, what I really think about, at least in the line of work that I do, is I start from a place of relationship and knowing the person, knowing their story, knowing where they come from. To me, pathology is critical. Knowing where a person comes from can inform how you interact with them, how you reward them, what motivates them. Motivation is huge when you're a leader. And more critically, where is it that person is trying to go? Leaders help their followers achieve the things that their followers desire to achieve. And so I think without taking time to cultivate relationships with those that we serve as leaders, we've already started from a deficit. And so I understand that we are trying to move missions forward and get work accomplished, but before transactions can ever get done, we have to be mindful of the person engaging in the transactions. And so that's what I would say to the previous question. And then, Barbara, you asked the question about how far does a leader go? I think that's dependent upon everyone, and individually, that depends on what your core values are. I may have values that lead me and help me to make decisions that's different than all of my great queens on this stage, and vice versa. I do not believe, and I think this is the fallacy that we feed ourselves in society, is that because someone doesn't do it the same as me, then they're wrong. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a dangerous narrative to buy into, and it's a dangerous narrative to perpetuate. The reality of it is we're all different, we're all gifted differently, and we all have different assignments attached to us. And so when we lead from our core values, when we lead from a place that helps us lead ourselves well first, I believe that's when authenticity happens, and people feel when we are genuine, and then therefore they more than likely will follow us if they know and trust and like us. With that, I'd love to hear others share as well. So I'll yield my mic here.
I get myself off mute because I want to listen to every word Ronnie said. First of all, Ronnie, mic drops, boom, boom, boom. Before somebody, please add, with Ronnie, because I know you can add to her whatever you wanted to add. But I love a lot of things you said, Ronnie, especially when you say get to know the person. Because I always tell people you can't lead somebody if you don't put the relationship and build that relationship and understand where they want to go. I loved that. That is like vital. And I see it broken I'm not going to put where I work at during the day, but I'm just going to say I see it broken sometimes whereas they don't ask the question, well, where do you really want to go in your career? What do you really want to do? What do you really feel? It's more so like, do this, do that. And then they get manager versus leadership confused. They say leadership. And I said, well, management and leadership is different. And they keep looking at me like, no, Barbara. I want to say, you need to listen to the Dime Perspective show. Then you'll understand what I'm talking about. But I love how you said, and then you said everybody has different levels. That doesn't mean they're wrong as being a leader in their own capacity, what they're doing. That was vital too. So I had to say that before we get some other takers. Chieza.
There you go.
Yes.
I love you, Queen Barbara. So me being the storyteller, I'm going to share another story because all of you have shared different themes. So for about a year and a half of my life, I had the privilege of helping people achieve a career transition into the tech industry. So this is the vision of Raheem Fazal, who's originally Canadian, and he came into Silicon Valley and he wanted to find ways to intentionally increase the presence of more brown and Black people in our predominantly white tech industry. So I found myself leading 2 teams of about 12 to 20 people every month through a process that was about 2 months long, which is basically, yes, you're being taught the skills to enter into the industry, but we were simulating an experiences of what it would be like. And yes, I believe, yes, part of it is learning the coursework, etc., but it's about practicing the skills. But the biggest challenge is the emotional mindset, right? And the emotional intelligence. Because it's one thing to say, okay, I believe in this dream. They promise me that if I go through this training, they'll help me get a job and I'll more than double my income. I'm a living example of that mandate came true for me, right? So when I saw the power of how that transformed my life, I wanted to help as many people as possible do the same. So a lot of the challenging of the mindset, where you're talking about building intentional relationships, I made it my mandate to check in at least twice a week with each and every single one of them. That's like 40 people, but that's Chedza style, right? And then also helping them to build the belief of what is possible. Whenever we had we'd have like company events where we'd have possible future employers come in to talk to people, past graduates who are also building successful careers in the industry. Because it's one thing to learn something in theory, but it's another thing to see somebody and hear from someone who's actually living what you went through, right? And so I was the queen of inviting people all the time. But it wasn't enough to just invite them. I also would follow up, again, continuing the relationship and conversation. What 2 or 3 things did you learn, right? And then once they would share that with me, I say, okay, reach out to those speakers and share that with them. So again, encouraging the building of networks, the building of relationships, getting them to practice how to basically, in a way, build their network of community that would then support them in the job hunt. And being the way that I am, I always find loopholes to accelerate certain processes. So for me, I found the real internship was to land a job, though they did a simulation within the training. I found a way to fast track that from 8 days to 4 hours, because my focus was, how can I make you practice how to conduct yourself in an interview, be able to tell your story of impact? Because none of us were ever coached in this. Even when I went through this first training with SV Academy, I was like, that's what I was trying to say, right? Because we never really coached on how do you tell your story so your employer can see how you can impact their company, right? And so that's what I mainly did. And also using videos and all sorts of creative multimedia to do that. It got so well that literally I found ways to fast track it to even get people hired by the time they graduated from the program. Like literally even the day they graduate, they were signing an offer letter, right? But again, even throughout the whole process, I always believe in bringing fun and enjoyment to learning. Because yes, I would do my 1 hour of whatever training module I had to do. Then I'd switch off the recording and then we'd have Chedza time. I remember one class, I had 3 musicians. They would bring out their banjos. Some people would be serenading me with their original songs. Some people send me recordings of their quartets. I'm like, dang, I never knew this could be this fun. But that's how I choose to be. And even just, again, a plug on the emotional intelligence on how we arrive in settings. Even before I started my classes, I'd be playing some fun music with some encouraging type words. I don't know if you know a song by Nico and Vince, Am I Wrong? It's all about, can this dream that I'm dreaming that only I can see, can I really have it, right? That was one of my favorite songs to play. And then I'll also do some centering and slight yoga to get centered, so that, again, teaching ourselves in any setting, find ways to manage yourself so that you can be fully present to really enjoy the learning experience. So that's what I just wanted to share, and touching on the various themes that I've heard the other ladies share so far. Thank you.
Thank you. Real quickly, before we get to some of the queens, you mentioned about how, you have the fun, because, you have to have fun, right? And that's when you find out other things about that person and their personality and what they like. And see, that's more that building that relationship, because now you're finding out stuff. Who knew? You probably said that they played the banjo. You're probably like, you play the banjo. Yeah. I mean, I found somebody on my team, they do this, I forgot what it's called. Some where they throw the ball and it has to go somewhere. I forgot what it's called. And it's really, and I was like, you do that? I mean, you would look at this person and be like, I can't see you doing that, but they do it every weekend. So yeah, I love how you brought out, because that brings in more of the personality. You get to learn that person even more. And that helps, with your leadership with them and their relationship building. Anybody else wanted to add or had any comments on that? We're good to go. Move forward.
I love that, because it's the A in awesome, which is awareness and allowing. It's going into being aware of yourself and actually making that difference. And the final E is enjoyment and fun. And you have to have the enjoyment and fun, if not in the moment, something to look forward to. The goal, the path needs to be littered with fun. That's all there is to it, in my personal opinion. But you have to be aware and allow yourself to learn as a good leader, as a good parent, as a good human being. Learn. Be aware of the people around you. And there is a difference between making a judgment, and I guess this is going into some of that emotional intelligence. There is a difference between making a judgment and being discerning. So perhaps making a judgment right off the bat. I know I have people say, well, I don't like that. That's wrong. That's bad. And I'm saying, well, wait a minute. Let's look at the big picture here. Have you ever felt that way yourself? Have you ever done anything like that yourself? And how did you feel at the time that you were doing that? Did you want somebody to judge you for that? So let's be more aware and be a little bit compassionate for the situation. And again, having that conversation, finding out what people like, finding out how they experience life. What is their life? It's like you were saying, dang, I didn't know one of my clients was a barbershop singer. He was so straight-laced, and I thought, you get dressed up and sing on stage, really? But you have that conversation, and it opens up a whole new thing, a whole new way of enjoying life.
Yes, definitely. And then you get to even appreciate them even more. That's a nice thing. Get to appreciate them more, understand them more. It's just the whole thing. So before we get to, because we're not done just yet. We're not done just yet, so don't link off just yet. But I have to get to our sponsor. So we'll be right back after our sponsor.
My name is Serena Buffalino. I am the founder of Help Heal Humanity. My career started off as a special education teacher. When my students found out that there were kids in this world that did not have the right to go to school, inspired them. The concept behind the Haiti School Building Project was a small handful of youth in Toronto would help a small handful of youth here in Haiti. The Haiti School Building Project finally opened up last year, September 2018. It has successfully been running for 7 months now, and what I have seen is nothing shy of beautiful. One person with the support of others can literally transform the planet.
So we're back. If you're just signing in, you are at the Diamond Perspective Show tonight with our wonderful queens tonight. The topic is leadership and building team development and just building relationships with people, understanding what really a leader is. So with that said, I want to get into one more aspect of when it comes to leadership. And Karen, I think Karen mentioned a little bit where I was going to go. So regarding conflict, I know we don't like conflict, right? And I know some leaders will totally avoid it. I mean, totally avoid it. Like, don't even say the C word conflict, but it's there. And there you have to handle it. And it can be conflict from, I don't like that type of pen you have, to, like our wonderful queen said, maybe because of ethnic background or religion or races and stuff. That's there. It really is. So when you're in a team environment and being that leader, how do you really get that culture of being, you have to be equal? And, when that conflict hits, what strategic things that you would work on doing that? So let's hear from some of the queens here. Let me, who wants to take on that? I'm looking at everybody's face like, oh, Barbara, why did you do this to me?
I'm happy to go because I'm laughing because I just wrote about it for a LinkedIn article last night. So I was like, it's coming back to me. So for a season of my life, for about 8 years of my life, I worked in peace building and conflict resolution, rehabilitating youth militia in Zimbabwe, Zambia, and other countries. But some principles that I learned, even using theater, was to intentionally create a space. I know this can come in different forms, but this is the main formula of creating a space where the people who are in the conflict, we agree to come to a safe space where we agree upon how we're going to talk to each other from a place of respect and talk about the issue and not about the people as human beings, right? But we also practice emotional intelligence of active listening. So we take turns in that the person says what their issue is, another person repeats it back so they feel heard and understood, and vice versa, until we get to a point where, okay, so this is the issue, that we've heard the different perspectives. How do we want to solve it? So we do it as a collaborative way of solving the issue rather than pointing fingers and staying in our corners. So that's what I practice in various ways. Of course, I know, like you said, they gave the example, I don't like your pen or something, but it can be from a group setting on a group circle to even just as pairs, even just taking on, okay, look, we're having a fight about this. Can we create a space and a time when we both have calmer temperatures to really talk it through? Because the most important thing is preserving the relationship. That's the end goal, right? And so that's how I've approached dealing with conflict in personal and work settings.
Yes, I love that. Love that. Anybody wants to add to how to handle that in a team setting as a leader? I'm going to pick on you. I'm going to put you in the middle.
I think sometimes the very simple old, I'm sorry, Shelley, in the middle? Okay.
So you can go ahead, Karen. I seen Shelley's hand. I heard you talking. So go ahead, Karen.
I'm sorry. Sorry, Shelley. One of the team practices that I really enjoy using is being able to sit in the other person's chair. The old shaman, Native American conversation, walk a mile in somebody else's shoes. So just ask them to take time to look at the other person. And they can actually say, this is what I don't like. This is what I'd like to have instead. And I really don't like that you're doing this. And I want to know why you are. And the other person doesn't say anything at the time, but listens and responds. And this is what bothers me. And much like, all right, I'm going to try it.
Chiedza.
Yes.
Chiesa.
Yes. I love your stories, and it's so true to be able to really see that we are working as a common cause. We're trying to get to the same destination. We may not agree on how to do that or who we're working with to do that. So what can we do? This is the way I see it. This is the way I am feeling. The other person can do the same thing, and then switch places. This is what I'm hearing. When you do this, this is how I hear it. And see if you can create that communication and a different understanding, and how can we solve that? Because in my world, there are always at least 3 solutions, always at least 3. And some of them might not be too good, but there are always at least 3 solutions.
That's why we have each other, right?
Shelley,
I know you wanted to say something before we move on.
Well, I was thinking more in terms of bigger teams, and it's the culture we create with intention before the conflict arises, so that everybody's dialed into this is how we do things here. So even if someone's coming to the table and they're coming from a different mindset, something that's maybe negative or unproductive, counterproductive, just by where our environment is stronger than our willpower. And so we get to, as leaders, be instrumental in creating that our environment by design, by creating culture by design, by creating this is how we do things here. Whenever I onboard anybody to my team, we have a 40 to 60-minute call where this is how we do it here. And then when it's done, I actually give them, because it's all scripted, like I'll email it to them later so that they've got the notes from that. And so part of that is developing relationship, and part of it is here's how we're going to do it. Part of it is if I see you not doing what you've said you're going to do, what you're committed to doing, these goals and objectives you have, do I have your permission to call you on it? And if so, how? So just give people real clear boundaries for here's how things are done and here's what we're going to do about it, and get permission to call them on their stuff.
I love it, love it, love it. Okay, anybody else want to add to that real quick about conflicts before we get into our overviews with everybody? We're good? Okay, so what we'll do now, I want to make sure 2 things I want the queens to do. First, any lasting thoughts regarding leadership for our audience, and then that point, please let them know how they can contact you. Because again, this is 2-way. It's giving, right? We're giving our expertise, little tips in there, but also giving you the visibility for your own business. So I'm going to start at top with Shelley and go down.
All right. So one thing that's really cool on leadership that we didn't get to, your questions were great, is there's a language of leadership. And I'm seeing, especially Chiedza, did I say that right? She is exemplifying it beautifully in that she communicates with stories. That's part of the language of leadership. So there's vision, stories, assignments, and challenges. And so if you can, and I put this on my to-do list every day to communicate VACS, vision, assignments, stories, and then challenges. And if you can incorporate all of that into the way you communicate with people, boom, that's next level leadership. So that's something I'm working on. That's just where I'm at in my leadership journey. And there's a lot of training around it, but it is incredible when you see someone who's masterful at it.
And how can they contact you, Queen?
Oh, well, I would say Shelley Piaggio. Find me on social media and just reach out, or send an email to shelleypiaggio@gmail.com. I don't have a easy to remember website right now. I'm in the middle of a rebrand, but I will respond to everybody. TikTok takes me a little longer because I'm not as good with the platform, but I'm on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, and YouTube.
So
So
great.
you
And
can
if
remember
people
how to
can
spell my
find
name.
her, you can find me, and I'll make sure you find Shelly. I always say that.
There you go.
Next queen, Ronnie.
Yeah, so I think I understand the question to be what are my takeaways for this evening? Really, what I'm taking away and what I would also like to leave is that leadership is a dance. There's an ebb and a flow to leadership. And to do it well, you have to have a team. You don't lead alone. And so when I think about that and I think about our conversation today, leading yourself first is where it starts. And if you're in a position where you are responsible for other people directly, like if that's your paid role, your job, your career, then I think it is very advantageous. I'll say it. Get counseling if that's what you need to do. If you're finding yourself, struggling, whether it's career-wise or in your personal life, dumping on your team is inappropriate. Expecting HR to do what they have hired you to do is inappropriate. And so it is absolutely critical that you understand who you are, what value you bring to the table as a leader. And if the environment supports you and aligns with your values and your, and the vision that you have for your life, then do your job. But if something is off and out of alignment, then it's our responsibility as leaders to move ourselves forward. We can't leave that responsibility to someone else, especially when we are responsible for others. So taking care of yourself first is critical. When I think about team development, I often think of how am I serving this person's interest? That is always top of mind for me as a servant leader. And so I'm not there to dictate. I'm not there to criticize and judge and do all that. I'm there to build and help move the person forward in some capacity while simultaneously accomplishing the mission of the organization that I am serving as well. It's a two-pronged approach when we think about leadership. It's human-centric, in my opinion, first. Make sure we tend to the needs of the human or those we're responsible for. And then it's mission centric. What is it that we are there to do? What job are we responsible for getting accomplished? And so that would be my takeaways for today. Take care of yourself first. When you are well, then you can bleed wellness onto other people. How people can get in touch with me is I am on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. I'm primarily on LinkedIn, though. And I am the only Ronnie Cyrus Jackson in the world. So if you Google me, I'm sure you can find me that way as well. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure being with you tonight, Barbara.
Awesome. And a wonderful, just Ronnie Cyrus Jackson in the world. She is amazing. So love it, love it, love it. Okay, I'm going to go to America Supermom. Any last thoughts and how they can contact you, lady?
Well, again, this has been a wonderful conversation. I've been over here taking lots of notes. I think, my takeaway is that when we have leaders, they're not necessarily in place to fix people. I think a lot of times, when we're in leadership, I can only share my own story. As a mom, it's like, I'm supposed to have all the answers. And sometimes we can get into that place where we don't even listen to the people that we are leading. And so I think there's this importance to navigate of the active listening to find out how aware people are. Because even if you can diagnose a situation, if that person doesn't have self-awareness, then it's going to be conflict with you trying to tell them what they need to do and they're not aware that it's even a problem. So I think part of leadership is really having that keen awareness of where other people are in their situation so that you're not trying to control them or minimize their voice and value for themselves because you feel like you have all the answers. So I think that's really important. also the whole thing is really just, we should be replacing ourselves. This is just my philosophy. If you're a leader, the people that you are responsible for, you should be training them. You should be exhibiting the behavior that in the event that you're not there, they know exactly what to do. So I think sometimes we can get a little intimidated by certain leaders because we're afraid that, oh my gosh, maybe they're going to try to take my job and all these kind of things. But when we're having that mindset of scarcity, so understanding when you're coming from abundance, more people working together can have a greater impact, and you can get a lot more accomplished with less work and more enjoyment and fun that we mentioned earlier. The best way to get a hold of me is simply email at info@LachelleAtkins.com. And this has been a wonderful conversation. So glad that I was able to make it. And thank you for all the gems that I was able to pick up while I was here.
Yeah, many gems. I'm telling you, American Supermom, I'm like, wow, I got to go back and listen to everybody again. Okay, Queen Chiesa. What's your last thought? How they can contact you, Queen?
So I'll finish again with another little short story, basically premising that from all the wealth of nuggets that have been shared, my perspective is that leadership is creating an intentional space where people feel safe to bring out their own brilliance. Because I believe all of us have our own gifts and talents that we have to share. But it's one thing to say, oh, you can come and show up. It's another thing to create an environment where people feel safe to do that. And the short story of how I did that was when we're using forum theater as a problem-solving tool where you get people to act out problems and then act out the solutions, because it's one thing to tell your problem and tell a solution, but we also need to know what is the behavior, what are the intonations. All of that can be practiced. So I remember when working with children who were healing from certain traumas, watching them pick certain problems, getting them to collaborate on how are we going to act out this problem, and then having the audience come up with like 5, 6, 7 different solutions, but acting out those solutions. That's where the resourcefulness of the community people involved to take a lead on solving their own problems and finding a sense of power and personal agency to solve it. So in a way, I see myself more as a co-creator of environments where other people can shine, and then they find their ways to do things independently as well. I just want to thank each and every one of you beautiful queens, and the Queen Barbara, again, fantastic conversation that you have had this evening. The easiest way to find me is on LinkedIn. I'm just doing another plug. If you want to hear more of my stories, I'm going to be published in a 3rd international bestseller as a co-author that's being published this month, called Lessons from COVID. So you'll read about my childhood stories and all sorts of other things of how I choose to walk in the world, being the light my mother designed me to be. So I'll hand it back to you, Queen Barbara.
Wow, Chiesa. So please, look out for that. That's awesome. Lessons learned from COVID. I think we all can learn those lessons over and over again, right? And the wonderful, awesome, as she always says, Queen Karen.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. I think all of you amazing queens have such wisdom. I'm wondering how can I add to this? But I will reiterate that being aware and allowing is a key, and inspiration is what a good leader tries to do, I think. And when I say that, as opposed to motivation, and I say that because my mentor, my leadership mentor, who's written 30 books now on leadership, has instilled in me the recognition that motivation comes from a place of fear. If you don't do this, then you won't have a job. If you don't do this, you're not going to get the promotion. If you don't do this, you're going to have to work overtime. Whereas inspiration is, inspiring them to do a great job so that if they have to work overtime to get it done, they're really excited about doing that. It's okay. These things do have to take place sometimes. But when you inspire your team to work together, whether it be a family team, a community team, a business team, when you inspire your team to work together and you do listen and you do hear, listening and hearing are two entirely different things. But taking that time so that you can inspire them so they're all on the same page, working towards the same end, and have fun doing it, by golly. Always make sure you got the fun going and include your team in what kind of fun it is. So with that, you can find me at the awesomelifepodcast.com or on LinkedIn. That's the best place for me. That's where I like to hang out. Karen J. Stultz on LinkedIn. So thank you again, all of you amazing queens, and Queen Barbara, thank you for putting this together. And it is always a joy to be on this panel.
Amazing. Wonderful. See, I told you, everybody, you're going to get so much nuggets out of this. And I was pulling up as I was listening to everybody. I said, oh, I need to pull up what's next month. So as I always say, we come on every month on the first Thursday of the month, 6 o'clock Central Time, 7 o'clock Eastern Time. I always tell people do all the other time zones. You can look on it. But we're going to have a wonderful other, won't open up free, that's tech. We're going to have another wonderful topic we're going to be talking about next month. We always have amazing queens that come on the panel. Please reach out to each one of them. Please reach out, even if you just do a discovery call with them. I mean, just getting that little 15 minutes of mic drops from them alone is worth the time. So I just want everybody, please reach out to these queens. Reach out to me if you want to be on the panel as a queen panelist. We are always looking for others to come on. I always do a variety of people. We're going to be upping this platform is right now showing on 5 different platforms, but we're going to do probably the next few months, go to a higher platform where there's more viewers so they can see these wonderful queens. That's what it's all about. Visibility, getting to know. So with that, we'll see everybody next month. Queens, thank you so much. I humble myself to each and every one of you. You are awesome, amazing, fantastic. And I always tell people, believe in yourself, because you are, as women and men, kings. But I'm talking about the women right now. You women are queens. See you next month.
Thank you, Barb.
Introducing the Diamond Factor Network, where we turn your business into a beacon of success. Imagine having your TV streaming show reaching audiences far and wide. It's possible with the Diamond Factor Network. Unlock the power of your brand with our state-of-the-art TV streaming platform. Your show, your way. Feature highlights, customized shows, global reach, and professional support. Coaching by Barbara J. Beckley, Purpose Visibility, and social media strategist. Ready to elevate your brand? Join the Diamond Factor Network today and let your brilliance light up the world. Shine bright, because your success is our priority.